All right, everybody, welcome back to Read the Line Celebrity Guest Picker. But we got to talk about this. Last week, another outright. That's 3 in 6 weeks, everybody. That's 3 wins. All right, we had Scotty Scheffler. Not only did we have Scotty Scheffler, but we also had plus 300 win on a playoff. So I didn't even mind when he missed the 5.5 footer to get in. I mean, folks, PGA professionals know things. And that's why I'm doing this for all of you. So subscribe, read, and win. And I am so happy and proud to introduce a great friend of mine, Taylor Twellman. All right, 5-time MLS All-Star. But forget all of that. He is an ESPN analyst, and he knows the game of golf better than anybody there on the channel. I know that for a fact. And welcome to Read the Line, Taylor Twellman. How are you doing today, bud?
Read the line. What am I having for dinner? Because you're on a streak right now where you're forecasting the next 10 to 20 minutes of everyone's life.
I tell you, it's been a good stretch. 3 in 6 weeks. You can't go
Buddy,
wrong.
3 in 6 weeks. If you said 3 in the year, I'd be like, damn, that's pretty good. 3 in 6 weeks is no joke.
Hey, the PGA Tour right now has 3 first-time winners in a row, and that hasn't happened
Yep.
since 2019. Luke List, we had 90-1. We missed Tom Hoagie, but we had Scotty Scheffler at 25-1 just yesterday. I mean, it led into the big game, which everybody I'm sure loved, but I mean, I think I loved it more than most. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
as you should. But I also think there's a trend here on the PGA Tour. You know this better than anyone following the game. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here for first time winners. So when you do look at odds going into a tournament, especially one like the Phoenix Open, you have to look at the higher odds because there's capability there. There's a big capability for players to win and for it to pay.
Hey, one of the big things that's going to come up this week is that nobody at 30-1 odds or less
Mm-hmm.
has won. I think it's twice in the last 10 years or something like that. So we definitely have to look at some of those long shots as we get into that conversation. But Taylor, let's talk about Riviera first. I know you played there,
Yeah.
maybe it was 10 years or so or more ago, but once you play there one time, I mean, you know that golf course. It's legendary. It's one of the best on the PGA Tour. What was your experience like there?
I heard about it all growing up with my uncle Jay Delsing, who played on tour, went to UCLA. So I heard about his experiences with Riviera. So I've had multiple opportunities to do it, but oftentimes, Keith, it was soccer was getting in the way or whatnot. But when I remember playing there, is exactly what Uncle Jay used to tell me about is fairways and greens. If you
Okay.
hit the fairway and you hit the green, you can get hot with your putter, but you don't necessarily need to because there's holes that you can reach on par fours and one. You obviously the famous 10th. You can get there in par fives and two, and so you can two putt your way around and still shoot 4 or 5 under. Traditionally, you're not going to see the Riviera with a similar type thing that we just saw at the WM Open, right? So you're not going to see someone try to win this with 20 under.
No.
It's not going to happen. So fairways and greens is going to be very, very important. That was my experience. I missed a lot of greens that day, so getting up and down was extremely difficult.
Right.
And that's how, if I was forecasting this, that's exactly who I would look at and say, well, who's driving the ball well, but also driving the ball a mile? So then all of a sudden now it's wedges and short irons into the greens. That's who I would look at for this.
Now, you know what? It's not every day I get to talk, and golf is as much physical preparation as mental preparation. Now,
Yes.
and I have the 2005 MLS MVP here with me today as my celebrity guest picker, and I want to talk about mental preparation. Right?
Mhm.
Is there something when you watch as an analyst, whether you're watching soccer or the Super Bowl yesterday, is there
Mhm.
something that you could tell about a guy's body language? When we watch the Genesis this week, I'm curious if you could give us an insight because I mean, you know what it takes to not only physically prepare, but when a guy looks like he's mentally prepared. Is there something we could pick up on this week that maybe is an insight?
Yeah, I mean, look at Patrick Cantlay's the best example. He goes into the playoff this past weekend. Scotty Scheffler's walking 10, 15 steps ahead of him. It's his first playoff. He's looking for his first win. Like, naturally, you're reading body language. Patrick's always in the moment. They call him Patty Ice.
Yeah.
But the truth is, there are a lot of signs there that you watch him. Watching the Super Bowl the other night, Cooper Kupp. He never looked like he was out of his element. He was staying within himself, within his scheme, within his, as Bill Belichick often says, do your job.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp never looked like he was sweating it. Joe Burrow did right? Because he was getting sacked and getting
Yeah.
chased all over the place. Some of that was out of his control. But Cooper Kupp looked like he was in the moment. I often found that, especially in my sport, Keith, penalty kick shootouts is a great test. And you could see people when they're walking around, they're trying to catch their breath, they're breathing heavy, they're tying their shoes, they're nervous energy, nervy moments. You can tell whether or not a player wants to take a penalty. You can tell whether or not a goalkeeper is in the moment and is going to come up with these big saves. I think golf is a huge one, man. I really do. Part of the reason why I love it is it's the 180 degrees opposite of what I did, which is you run around with your head cut off for 90 minutes. Yes, you got to be smart and play, but you can physically kick people. You can physically get yourself engaged. If you're too engaged in golf, I mean, look at the rookie. I always say his name wrong. Thigala?
Yes,
How about?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he hit that normal 3-wood or driving iron, whatever it was, on 17, excuse me.
Yeah.
He did it 3 rounds. All 3 rounds were in front of the green. The 4th round, he's 1 stroke off the lead, or he's tied for the lead. Adrenaline's pushing. Guess what? The ball goes 25 yards further. It's in the water. Like, those are things you've really got to mentally prepare for and understand where you are. And right now in the moment, I'm not sure there's a better one than Patrick Cantlay. He always seems like he's there. No one's in his way. No one, you could literally go out there and punch him in the face, and it's not going to do anything. Like, Keith, that is a real good indicator. I think for those of us on the outside watching the PGA Tour, you can tell whether someone's in the zone or not.
Well, I had the serious Super Bowl Sunday Scotty Scheffler sweats going yesterday. And when he had 5.5 feet to win on the last hole, I could tell by his body language. I said, man, he does not look like
He did not look like he wanted to hit that putt.
No, he did not. He would have been more comfortable at 20 feet. He knew he needed to make that putt, and he didn't hit the hole. Now, thankfully, it worked out, but I love where you're at with Patrick. So let's get into the favorites. Let's get into the chalk guys. Is Patrick your guy this week, or do you like a DJ or Rahm? Who do you like?
It's interesting. Right away, when you reached out and said, let's do this, I said Patrick Cantlay. However, going into a playoff, losing the playoff, I don't know how that takes so much out of you. I still like Patrick. If I'm going to look at the top 4 or 5 players with odds, I love Patrick in this. He's known the course very well, UCLA. I also like guys, Brooks Koepka is an interesting one, because if you watch the golf tournament in Phoenix, he hit every drive 340 down the middle, but he couldn't hit an 8-iron under anywhere close to the hole. So if he practices this week and dials this in, Keith, that's an interesting one. And his odds are high, plus 3,300, right? Yeah. So if he dials in his wedge game, dude, he would have shot 23 under in Phoenix. He was that dialed in off the tee. So that becomes an interesting one. But I like some of the people on the outside. Joaquin Niemann's an interesting one. Zalatoris is an interesting one. Guys that are going to be in the middle of the fairway and they're going to hit the green. I like those guys. I want those guys kind of in my, if you're picking 5 golfers in the tournament, however you're going to bet. But if you're asking me one of the top 5 odds guys, I'm looking at Patrick, just because of UCLA, understanding that place, playing at the Riviera. Just, he looks like he's in the zone.
Well, you know what? Zalatoris brings up the model, right? You have to hit the fairways and you have to hit the greens there at Riviera. And it's 2 of the toughest spots, it is one of the toughest spots to do those 2 things.
Yes, it is.
It's like 55% of fairways are hit versus 62% PGA Tour average. So, you're going to get a lot of irons off the tee. You're going to get a lot of long irons in. Zalatoris fits the mold there. Joaquin Niemann too. Cantlay, obviously. How about a long shot? How about for my readers? Give me a long shot that's, maybe in that 70, 80 to, or maybe 100 to 1 range.
Yeah, what's interesting? I don't know about you. I'm a little surprised at how well Seamus Powers played. And quickly, right? Obviously, he had the pedigree in Europe, but coming here, it's quick. Now, falling on his face a little bit, and I know that's harsh, but that's what we do here as analysts.
Yeah.
At Pebble, maybe that's rattled him. I don't know, but it's been pretty consistent, right? And so he's plus, what is it? Plus 8,000, right? So I look at that and say, okay, that's 80 to 1, maybe. Maverick McNeely is one that I came into this golf season saying I'm going to keep an eye on, just because the last part of the fall and into it, he has 3 really good rounds and then a weird 4th. If he dials that in, I don't know. I honestly don't think a long shot wins this weekend. I think
All
this
right.
is one of those tournaments where the Riviera, I just think you're looking at a big name pulling this off because they know how to play it. They've been there and they understand the little nuances of where you can maybe miss a fairway and still do well on that hole. I think it's a bigger name.
Hey, I like your chances with the chalk. I mean, you got 10 of the top 10 in the official world
Yep.
golf ranking playing, 20 of the top 25. And, you look at guys that play really well there, like a DJ, like a Cantlay. I
Yep.
have a tough time getting past those guys. I really do. I kind of like Sam Burns in the middle there. He's played well
Me
there
too.
before.
Me too.
Zalatoris as well. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with Read the Line, but I know where you stand, Taylor Twellman, and I can't thank you enough for joining me as my celebrity guest picker this week here in the newsletter. You are the man.
Dude, 3 of 6. 3 of 6. Dear Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be texting each other. I know.
See you, dude.
All right. Take care.